Hi, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. This is Jamie, and thank you for coming to our YouTube channel live today. And today we are very happy to have Shopify here with us to share about Shopify. So if you are here today, you can drop a message to us so that we know that you are already in the live. And okay, so the topic today will be BigSeller and BigSeller together with Shopify online webinar and how to build, sell, and also scale with Shopify. Okay, so before we begin today, you may drop a hi in the chat so that we know that you are here. And also you can also share where are you joining from. Okay, so this is Jamie. And here, we have also a house rule. We will start later sharp by 2 o'clock, 2 p.m. later. And the house rule today will be, drop your questions anytime, and we will answer during the Q&A. Okay, and also BigSeller will share a very short order processing workflow after the speaker sharings. And we will also share the future learning sessions through the BigSeller channels. Okay, so a big thank you for everyone who joined here. And I saw some of you already waiting, already in the live. Okay, so we shall start right away. And today's sections is going to be 1 hour. This is our agenda today. And we will start by Frankie. He will share more about brand building, online store, social commerce, omni-channel selling. Then after that, we will invite Damian from the Verz design. And Damian will share what makes Shopify different and how seller can scale with the right setup. And lastly, we will do a very short sharing before the Q&A questions. And if you are here, please feel free to drop us a message so that we know that you are here and we won't feel alone here. And if you have any questions, please feel free to drop the questions into the comment box. Okay, so now without further ado, I'd like to invite Frankie. He is the head of the market development APAC Shopify. And today he will share how Shopify supports sellers in building your own brand store. So let's welcome Frankie to start sharing.
Jamie, there we go. Hi everyone. Good
Hi.
afternoon. Thanks
Good
for everybody
afternoon.
to tune in. I'm gonna share screen. So does that work now?
Yeah, that works. A moment.
Okay. Okay, great. Now let's see. Working? Okay, great. Thanks everyone. Hi. Frankie here from Shopify, and I've been with Shopify for quite some time, almost 10 years now. Today, I'm going to take you through some of the really basics around Shopify. Some of you may have heard of us. Some of you have tried us. Maybe some of you are using us already. And the focus is just giving you that foundational knowledge to understand why Shopify matters for brands in Southeast Asia, especially those that are selling across different platforms and different channels. And when we talk about Shopify, you typically will think about the brand.com website. So what I'm going to take you through is an introduction to our platform, what it means to own your customers, and then also what it looks like to build with AI and some of the latest tools that we have on the platform. So quick introduction to us. Shopify is a commerce platform behind many of the major fast-growing brands that are across the globe. So we are present in 175 countries. We have over 2 million brands worldwide selling on our platform. And it's very likely that you've at least purchased one thing from a Shopify platform, but you won't really see our brand name. So we're not a marketplace like Shopee or Lazada. You don't go to shopify.com to buy something. You would go to a brand.com to buy something. So a brand could be like Glossier, a brand could be Mr. DIY, a brand could be Alo Yoga. And so for consumers that are buying from these brands, they feel that sense of trust. They're looking particularly to learn about the brand, about their products, and this gives brands full control of that experience. So whether you're doing that online, in person, you're doing that just locally and maybe in Malaysia, or if you're doing that abroad into other countries like the US, you can do all of that on Shopify through a single platform. And that's what's made us so successful so far. So what is our product? I think most people will be familiar with Shopify as a website. That's where we got our start. So originally it was a store builder for online stores when there wasn't a lot of store builder technology. And we made it very easy for people to upload their products, their descriptions, set up their payment gateways, point all their marketing assets and paid marketing towards a domain, and be able to manage all of that on the back end. And managing that means managing the orders, the customer information, connecting in your marketing and analytics from different channels. So if you're doing something on TikTok, you're doing something on Instagram, you're able to use all that data within the platform to actually drive revenue growth and actually keep a consistent log of where people are coming from and enrich the data. Beyond that, we started to work with a lot of the major carriers. So that'll be a UPS, DHL, FedEx, to give consumers a way to ship their products out. And if they want to enter new countries, we made our product more adaptable in every country around the world to be in different languages, different currencies. And on top of that, we have a huge app ecosystem, which I'll talk a little bit about later. But this is a good understanding, a good view of what we actually do. While you might think of us as an online store, we also do all the things behind the scenes, make that very easy for people to manage. So who uses Shopify? On the left-hand side, you'll see some of our global brands. On the right-hand side, we picked a couple Malaysian brands. I know some of you are in Malaysia, some might be somewhere else. But in terms of global brands, you'll see some very exciting D2C online first brands like Spanx or Gymshark. And then you'll see more traditional brands like a Nike, a Crate and Barrel, Staples, JB Hi-Fi, Nestle. So there's really a variety of different companies that will use our platform, from very new to online to those that are established businesses and very traditional retailers. And we're able to serve all that. In Malaysia, we're supporting brands like Machines, Valiram, Siti Khadijah. We generally are a product that works really well for people that are selling physical products to an end consumer. We tend not to do too much on the services side or the hotel booking and travel, these type of items. We're primarily more focused on kind of key categories like fashion, apparel, home goods, health and beauty. So that's how you can think about us and how we match up with some of our customer base. So that was just a quick preview of what we do. The reason I started there is, I want everybody to have a bit of context. I'm going to talk a little bit about what it means to have a .com website, and then just go back into some of the features that we usually are talking about. So when it comes to owning your customers, I think this is a very important aspect of building a brand today, which is knowing who you're selling to and being able to sell to them more than once. Now, the challenge with doing this on marketplaces is that you don't always get customer information. Most times you don't. You just realize, hey, this is a customer, this is where it's going to get shipped to. But in terms of who they are, having some sort of loyalty and upselling, cross-selling, interacting with them, or maybe inviting them to an event, there's actually not a lot of ways for you to do that on marketplace channels. But we do understand majority of consumers will buy from marketplaces because they're convenient, they're trustworthy. Now, once those consumers are familiar with the brand, they might go out and seek the brand themselves off platform. So they might go to a .com website to learn about some of your latest launches. What are the differences between your products? What are some of the new loyalty programs and marketing initiatives that you might have? So we really find that having a .com website is very complementary to being on the marketplace, because the marketplace is probably a first place where they go about discovering your brand. And we really see that as a discovery channel for you to go, for consumers to go find a good deal, get introduced to a brand first. And then after that, they want to engage with the brand as a more loyal customer. So they already bought a product, maybe they want to buy accessories, maybe they want to buy extended services, maybe they need a replacement, maybe they want to ask your team questions or give feedback about your product. And so this is where consumers will start going into this consideration phase where, they'll go between marketplaces, they'll go between .com. And the .com is important because it creates a sense of trust and validation for the brand. And once you know that customers are coming to your website, the important thing is that if you're able to capture them, their information, their contact details, you can target those customers at a much lower cost than it would cost you to get them on the marketplace. Because again, the marketplace, you cannot pinpoint specifically to a set of customers that have bought product A, product B, product C. Instead, you pretty much are running just cashback campaigns or running marketing campaigns around all the double-digit sales events and just hoping that they come back. So the goal with having a .com website is being able to have more control and ownership of your customer so that when they're discovering something, when they're learning about the brand, that they can come back and buy from you. And that as a customer acquisition cost is going to be a fraction, maybe 1/5 the cost of what it would be on marketplace. And that helps brands keep their margin, control their pricing, and also makes brands develop a relationship with the consumer that the consumer then shows some sort of loyalty or affiliation with you to either promote your product even more. So this is why I think Southeast Asia, actually a lot of Asia is quite interesting. It's neither of these channels is good just by themselves. Both kind of complement each other. And so marketplace, of course, high volume discovery, a lot of traffic, new customers. It's a great way to be found because consumers are there all the time. But the problem is that the margins there will get crushed based on the amount of promotion that's going on and the amount of campaigns that the marketplaces encourage you to take part in. So for marketplaces, we see that as the discovery engine, and then we see brand.com or the Shopify website as more the customer retention and loyalty part of that journey. So once we talk about .com, you're able to do more storytelling, you're able to retain more margin, you're able to offer even sometimes different category and different set of products that will help you differentiate and also give a reason why consumers should buy on your website versus buying on marketplace. Marketplace, you might just compete on the high volume, low margin products. Okay, so what I want you to take away today is that Shopify is not trying to replace the marketplace strategy. I think would be a very tough ask, but for a lot of brands, it's an important complementary to what they're already doing. And then what we're able to do is, for example, building a direct relationship, seeing that a certain customer is high spender, has spent multiple purchases with you, has certain characteristics, and that allows you to do more targeting, more tailored offers, and ultimately create more predictable revenue because you know who's in your base and how to target them. So here's just a couple examples of some of the exciting brands that have already made the move over. Some of these are familiar, brands like Anchor, which is a popular 3C product. Everybody's seen them, I'm sure. And they realize that they don't want to just have that relationship on marketplaces. At the time, they're very Amazon heavy. And they decided to launch 16 international websites with us. And each website would have its own currency, its own language, and then be able to target consumers directly. And what they were able to do is actually grow that business by about 70%. And their margins there were about 3 times higher than what they were doing on Amazon. So they were able to do this in just 3 months. So a lot of this process of setting up the store doesn't take a long time. If you have a simple site, you can probably get it up in a couple weeks. And then if you are on the more complicated side and you have very complex integrations that you want to connect into the system, then you would need to maybe spend a bit more time and work with a system integrator to do that. The other one would be Tin & Co., which is also a Chinese brand. They do vacuums and primarily vacuums, right? And what they were able to do is actually use this as Shopify as a launching pad for them to enter international markets. And specifically here, we're calling out that they were launching in the US. The bottom line is that these two brands, what makes them interesting is that they've both had success on marketplaces, but they've come to the point where they realize, you know what, we need to own that relationship and be able to know who those customers are. So every time we have a new launch or we need new accessories, or we're able to plan out a life cycle of products that the consumer wants to buy, that they're able to do that and target them. Okay, so all these sites and all this beautiful stuff is made easy by Shopify. Just to show you a little bit more about how some of these things work. A lot of this is drag and drop nowadays. So we don't expect anybody to come in and have to write code and develop the website from scratch. We create the template for people to choose. You know, we have something called the theme store where you're able to go in and choose a design. And maybe I'll just show that really quickly because I think it's really nice to demonstrate that on the fly. So you may say, I have a certain business and I want a certain look and feel for the brand. Here, if you're more of an accessory electronics business, this might be more suitable. If you're doing more canvas and design, you're doing on this side, beauty and makeup. And then once we go into each of these, you'll have more options, right? You'll be able to figure out like what are the different sections that you want to be able to have, alternate color designs. So really there's hundreds of themes to choose from, but don't think of them as fixed. You can actually modify themes, match your brand color. And the best part now is that AI is making a lot of this stuff easier. So you can actually create these on the fly as well. Now, when we get back to talking about what makes it easy, you don't have to touch any code. You don't have to be a web developer. A lot of this stuff is drag, drop. If you can move files around, move pictures around, you'll find this quite easy. Then from there, we're able to help do internal tracking of customer data, customer follow-ups with things like abandoned carts, and loyalty programs. And each site is actually fully enabled to help you sell worldwide. So you shouldn't be worried about whether consumers can access it from Australia or UK or any of these other regions. And you're able to do that at a very high speed because we have servers all around the world and content distribution networks that allow people to access the files very quickly. And when you want to look at any of the data around sales, marketing, profit, those are also very straightforward within our platform. And I might jump into a quick share after so you can see some of the different sections. But keep in mind that beyond the front end, it's also the analytics on the back end, the reporting. And then if you are deciding that, hey, I want to run this business while I'm on the go and I'm not in front of a computer, we have a mobile app, mobile notifications, and store management can all be done from your phone as well. And if you want to run a pop-up or offline location like a retail store, we also have our point of sale system. So in doing this, you'll see that Shopify is a pretty complete commerce package, but beyond what we offer and what we've built for ourselves, a really important part of our strategy is partnering with all the other big platforms in the world. So that could be brands like Amazon, Pinterest, Meta, Google, TikTok. We've already natively integrated into each of these platforms, and that means that these companies have invested in building the integration with Shopify so that we can make the products, the pricing, the inventory, the accessibility and data tracking all available into some of the other channels where consumer buying intent exists. And what I mean by that is consumers don't really just buy from one place, right? They look around a lot of different places to compare. They might watch a YouTube video. They might watch an influencer talk about a product on TikTok. They might then follow the page on Instagram. And all of these touch points are places where you need visibility, but also you need the brand to be present. And that's what we're able to do with a lot of these existing integrations. Ultimately, we've built a lot ourselves. We've worked with a lot of very large partners, but within our ecosystem, we also have about 13,000 plus apps that you can install. And everybody is familiar with how iPhone apps or Android apps work. Our platform works in a very similar way. So if you see something that you want to add to the store, let's say you want to add what do you call it? A spinning wheel for discounts, right? You can add that into the storefront, and that's simply an app. If you wanted to do heat mapping and you wanted to see how people interact with the site on every session, you can do that. If you have a Malaysia e-invoice, this is a new business requirement. There's companies that built an app for that. So the beauty of having such a big ecosystem of millions of brands on our platform is that every business need that somebody wanted to solve and didn't want to build custom themselves, somebody has filled that gap by building an app, and you're able to install, uninstall these apps pretty easily. They're just as easy to install as your iPhone apps, and give that capability back to the store without having you to develop each feature yourself. So that's the beauty of our platform. If somebody were to say, what can no other platform duplicate? I would say they cannot duplicate our capability in our app ecosystem, as well as the number of companies and agency partners that build for our platform. This is just a quick look as well on what the landscape in Southeast Asia looks like when you're working with us and working with the products in our ecosystem. You could be across Google, Meta, TikTok. You could be across all the different marketplaces. And then usually on the site, you'll connect in a payment gateway. And payment gateways can be anything from iPay88, Pay Now, GrabPay. Connect that in and then ultimately deliver with any of these carriers. And of course, for OMS and ERP system, you can choose BigSeller to connect all your integrations and all your other channels back in, so you have some shared inventory and visibility. Okay, I know I talked a lot about how this gets launched and how it's very easy. Ultimately, you need to know that's all customizable as well. So whether you want to connect into our APIs, you want to dig into the front end and modify things in HTML, JavaScript, you're able to do that. And if you don't want to see that, you don't need to see that. Every year, we also launch 2 big product announcements. They're called editions. We just launched our most recent editions. Actually, I might be able to share that with you to share a little bit about like how innovation in this space is headed. So now our theme this year is called Everywhere. And every 6 months, we launch something like this. And the focus is showing and highlighting all the new innovations that we've done in this commerce space. So Everywhere, I'm just going to show you this first piece. The concept of Everywhere comes down to talking about this new push in commerce, which is agentic commerce. And agentic commerce is now about having agents like ChatGPT, like Claude, be able to serve up product recommendations and talk about which products are best suited to the consumer based on the chat context that they have. So this is the really exciting piece, is that now you'll see we look at agentic interactions and AI interactions almost like the new search, right? Before we used to search on Google and say, what is the best running shoe? And you might see a couple brands or a couple content pieces bid at the top to try and get those top spots to try to sell you product, right? But now with ChatGPT, with Gemini, the goal is that people are searching in the agents and asking for recommendations, similar to search, but instead it's much more refined, it's much more targeted. And we believe that this is where the next innovation within commerce is going to be. So we've launched this new agentic page, which allows people to track their performance and their referrals from different platforms like ChatGPT, Google, Copilot, and a few others like Perplexity. And our partnerships team is primarily working with a lot of these big agent companies to ensure that brands on our platform are also served into those interfaces. And Shopify is one of the first to do that. We also make a lot of these things easy by taking product information in your Shopify store and automatically categorizing them and attributing them to things like, this is a shoe, it's light, it has this many different colors, it's versatile, it's available in these countries. And then all the agents are able to understand what and where these products are selling and which ones would be relevant to the person that's asking the question in the prompt. So I don't want to get too far into this, but this is kind of the future of commerce and where we think things will go. We even think maybe in marketplaces, every marketplace will probably adapt themselves to also offer something similar. And so when people search, they're going to want to search and have some sort of recommendation, and maybe one recommendation is from a Shopify store, one might be from a Shopee store, one might be from a Lazada store. So the future is that these agentic elements are going to be important. So if you take something away from today, you can also take that as one of your learnings. So coming back to the presentation, we continue to innovate. We are on the edge, on the bleeding edge of where commerce is headed and a lot of this technological innovation. And I think that's a hard thing for a lot of other platforms, like let's say WooCommerce or Easy Store or Shopline. There's all different type of platforms out there that do something similar to Shopify, but I guarantee nobody will innovate faster than us. And within the next few years, we'll see that gap become bigger and bigger because it just takes a certain type of company to keep up with this. So what I want to show you last is probably this demo, and then maybe one other thing around the AI innovations. So I think some of you will be familiar with this brand already, right? So this is called Ugreen. Ugreen is also a very popular Shopee store. So I just want to compare the differences of like, what does it mean to be on Shopee and what does it mean to have your own website, right? And so once you're on your own website, you do have a lot more control over design, the details, the layouts, the catalog, and also the storytelling around the brand. Once you get into that, you're able to also highlight a lot of the other influencers and UGC, user-generated content, that supports your product. When we go into learning more about each individual product, we're able to do a lot more cross-selling and offers around what the products that consumers are interested in. So if I go into this NAS, you'll see a ton of creative elements supporting the purchase. So usually we'll have benefits as well as what people are saying. Once we get into the product itself, you're able to do more things around upselling, cross-selling, comparison tables. So if you happen to be in an industry or you work in a product category that is a bit higher tier, then this is a space where you're able to tell more stories and drive consumers across different sections of your product catalog. So let's say I'm thinking of buying this NAS, this NAS, it's storage. It'll also encourage me to maybe consider other ones like the Pro plus UPS or Pro with more storage. So that way you can upsell, you have a bit more. You can also bundle in accessories, free gifts. So you see, I've gotten 2 free gifts for this. And then also if there's other details around the consumer, like this one is for senior discount, essential workers. So if I'm healthcare, teacher. And so this type of segmentation, categorization, bundling, offering, all make this experience a bit more customized. And why I say this is great for brands that have a higher price point. This is all price point that you can recapture as part of owning your own site, right? So instead of paying margins or commissions of 15%, 20%, depending on your category, Shopify doesn't take a commission. It just charges for payment processing most of the time. So you might be paying somewhere like 1% or less in fees back to Shopify. Compared to Shopee, Lazada, TikTok, you're paying upwards of 10% and then maybe even 20% in some cases. So just going back to why people build the .com website, it's a place where they can go to the brand, interact with it, have a better buying experience, but the brand itself is able to do more storytelling, right? So they can give more descriptions, they can have more videos and content to illustrate the needs. And then when we compare that to a Shopee website, which is much more limited, something like this helps convert a customer faster. And then if we have any additional questions, we can ask them here in this chat box, right? So just to show you, that's kind of what it looks like on the front end as you go through the experience and how it's different from on a typical Shopee site. I've got about 2 to 3 minutes left, so I'm going to go ahead and move into kind of the last section, which is what's building with AI. As I showed you already, there's a lot of themes to choose from, but now we have this cool new tool called Sidekick. And Sidekick allows you to use natural language, like help me change this theme, help me change this color, to modify the theme. So you're able to choose that, modify it with natural language. The shopping assistant also is able to give you recommendations on things like promotional campaigns, consumer behavior. Here, it's showing an example of doing a custom discount code for students, and then it'll be able to connect into all the other tools as well. So we're starting to connect Sidekick into things like email and loyalty points, to allow you to not only do things within Shopify, but do things with Shopify's connected tools. Because it's not just about, most customers are just not using only Shopify. They might be using another email platform. They might be using inventory management system or ERP. So we're making that easier and easier. On top of that, one of the exciting things about AI is that you can use it to automate a lot of really simple tasks. What's simple but takes a lot of time is things like categorization. So let's say for bedding, bedding will require a lot of extra tagging on what things and attributes are matched to a certain product, whether it has different sizes, what color is it, what is it made of, what are the accessories for it. So what we're able to do is use AI to actually suggest a lot of that taxonomy. So when we think about how that applies to marketplaces have like product trees and hierarchies, and usually they'll categorize. And so doing that on a website is also equally important, so that consumers can find what they're looking for, and also the AI can suggest and recommend products based on what consumers have bought before. Okay, other things we try to make easier is custom replies. Here we've got modifying and editing product images on the fly using some of the AI-based products. And this one is also very fun. I used to write a lot of the product description myself in my store, and now you're able to AI generate that, make them SEO optimized, write them in different tones, and save yourself a lot of time. So when it comes to setting up the store, I would say AI has probably reduced the time required to set up the store by about 30%. And it'll probably make running the store a lot easier if you set up new automations and flow, which will, again, bring that curve down, make it easier to run your site, and also automate a lot of that processes. The last thing, we already talked about how Shopify is going to be enabling a lot of the search results in search. So this is Perplexity, another great AI product. And this is how they'll serve up different things like, product catalog, the details like that we talked about earlier, comfort, ease of entry. And yeah, these are just last couple things that you can do. The last thing I'll highlight is this thing called a UCP. It's just a technical term. In the future, a lot of these websites, a lot of the companies that are doing product-based e-commerce are going to have a standard on how agents are able to read products and information, and then use that information to make AI-based recommendations. So we've actually co-developed that standard with Google, and this is now a universal standard. So we're proud to be one of the first companies to have this out there, and also be setting the rules and the way of development for this new protocol. All right. So end of the day, we'll have Damian speak next, but Shopify, I would just summarize in 3 points. Easiest to use, best ROI. We're all coming at a very affordable price. And then also constantly innovating in the space of AI, technology, and whatever comes next for commerce. So I will leave it at that. I'll leave this QR code for a second. It's primarily for people that want to start a Shopify trial. You can do that for free for the first 3 days, and then $1 per month after that. So you can scan this, and I'll also have the BigSeller team share this with the group after, so you can try Shopify today. So that's it for me. Hand it back to you, Jamie or Damian.
Hi, thank you very much, Frankie. Thank you for the insightful sharing. And later on, I will share the link to the group and to our user, to our audience later.
Great.
And for today, actually, I learned a lot, especially the agentic information, the innovation, and also I'm very impressed with the SEO optimized text also, and the personalization. And I know that Shopify, every focus from the Shopify is to help seller to understand their customer better, and to reach the real target audience. Okay, so yeah, without further ado, I would like to invite Damian from Verz Design to share more about what Shopify's need, what makes Shopify different from the marketplace and others, and how sellers can scale with Shopify. Hi, Damian. The stage yours.
Hello everyone. Okay, I'll just do a quick screen sharing. Okay, Jamie, can you see my screen?
Can see the screen.
Okay. I'll run the slideshow now. Okay, Jamie, everything's running well?
Running well. Yeah, you can
Okay,
start.
I'll just go ahead, all right? Hi everyone, I'm Damian here from Verz Design. We are a Shopify Plus partner based in Singapore. That's our HQ. So today I will be probably sharing about 3 key points. So the first one is what makes Shopify different, right? And when you want to run a business of Shopify, how do you actually grow your business using Shopify? So this is coming from a perspective of let's say you are the merchant and you are actually trying to run your business. Okay, so lastly, if times allow, I will actually share more about some case studies so you can have a better visualization. Okay, so a very quick sharing about my own profile. So I lead the business development team in Verz Design, and I manage partnerships. So we are actually very close partners with Shopify. So if you already know, you have some details about Shopify. Shopify Plus is actually the enterprise brand for Shopify, and we actually have worked with the Shopify team and delivered several of such projects. So like I mentioned, we are based in Singapore. We are a digital agency. So in today's context, we will be focusing more on how we can help marketplace sellers adopt Shopify as a way to grow your business, your online business. So what we do, in a nutshell, very simply is we build, we help to optimize, and we help to scale your business through Shopify in the Southeast Asia region. So we have a regional presence. So Singapore is our HQ. We also have offices in India, Philippines, and also Ho Chi Minh, Vietnam. Yes. So, okay, let me move on. So part one. So what makes Shopify different? So there are actually 4 differences in this topic that I'm going to go through. So the very first one. So Shopify is built for brands, not booth. So what does this mean? I like to give this very simple analogy whereby you can think of a marketplace as a condo, right? And you can think of Shopify as a landed property. So why I say that? In the marketplace, if you think about it, the marketplace is the landlord. So they own the condo, they own the land, and you are probably just one of the tenants that is renting a unit. And in this unit, you are doing your business. You're trying to sell your products, right? For Shopify, it's more of like Shopify, of course, they own the land because, landed property, they are the one who help you to build your very foundation. But then again, the build itself, the landed property, or rather the property itself, is under your name. You are the one who is managing the property, all right? So this is one way you can visualize it, a very simple way, and a very real life way you can visualize this. So for marketplaces, you can very quickly, probably Frankie have already touched on some of the points here. So the very first one, the very big item here is the platform owns the customer, right? So if you recall, probably most of our audiences here actually sell through marketplaces. The platform, whenever you sell something, you will not get a full complete set of information, right? So if you compare it with Shopify, because you own the customer, you can have all the information as much as you need to run your business. So that's the very first point. The other point is discoverability runs through algorithm. So in terms of searchability for products, the algorithm is actually based on the marketplaces. for example, Lazada or Shopee, they all have their own algorithm and how they make your products being searchable, right? But for Shopify, when your customer enters your website, you decide how you want the placements of the products, which products to be your hero products, which products to be boosted, and you can even structure how your merchandising works, which is, for example, searching for products in your website. So the third point is also one of the very key things that a lot of merchants probably face. To put it bluntly, for marketplaces, it's more of like a race to the bottom, right? Because right now, especially right now, you can actually search for a product using image. So whenever you search a product using an image, probably there will be so many results on the product. And what people do is they will look at the stats. The usual stats are the reviews, how many items that's being sold, and also the price. But for Shopify, when your customers go into your store, you are actually just fighting against your own products, because everything within that ecosystem belongs to you. All of it is your products. So for marketplaces, the branding, or rather how you tell your brand story, is being boxed in. So why is this so? Is because especially merchants here on marketplaces, you have already known that there is a very standard template where you can customize on. But for Shopify, I would say it's almost, I will push it to say as though sky is the limit. It's really up to your imagination. And of course, there's some conversion best practices that you can apply. And it's very flexible in terms of how you want to tell your brand story, your customer journey. All these can be customized. So difference number 2. So this is something that is very different from marketplaces, because marketplaces, probably most of the things is already, given to you, right? You can actually run your business, get it started up as soon as possible. But Shopify, these are the 4 items that you need to take note of. For example, I'll just get out this presentation. I'll just do a very quick sharing. So Shopify has a equivalent of the, I would say, your Android store or Apple store. So if you go to Google, you do a very quick Shopify App Store search, you will end up on their App Store. So they have their App Store. So things that Shopify cannot support out of the box, you have a very niche requirement, you can very easily look for apps to complement that. So they have their own App Store. So this is one thing. So the other one that I want to emphasize is the team. So Shopify comes with a lot of teams, and it's very nice teams that is actually built by developers. So if you go to search Shopify team in Google, you will be able to access a team library. So there are ways for you to leverage this in terms of design for Shopify, right? So for Shopify, you can do it based on a team base. If you want to get things started as soon as possible, you can implement your team, and after that, if needed, you can customize it to a certain extent. And if you really you want to build a very customized user journey, you can build everything from scratch. So these are the few options that is very flexible to you. And the third point here is about the checkout. So for checkout, let me just bring one of our stores. So this store is actually built by our team, one of our clients' Shopify store, all right? So just to let you have a sense of how it is. So I have a product detail page, a product page of this client of ours, right? So if I were to add this to cart, right, and I check out, so frankly, I've already shared this page. I'll just go a little bit more in depth into this. You will see that this is the accelerated checkout feature of Shopify, right? So which is why, and this is something unique to Shopify. This is something called Shop Pay, and it is one of the world leading conversion accelerated checkout feature, and this is unique to Shopify. All right. So Frankie also did mention that there's a lot of partners that they work with. For example, agencies like us, they also have tech partners, which are the ones that is actually doing all these apps, right? So these are the few things that might be new to you when you are trying to, adapt and adopt Shopify as one of your, your business expansion goals. So number 3, so Shopify is, I would say, very future-proof, right? So you can see based on the stats here, just last year, Cyber Monday, Black Friday, you can see in terms of the sales that they generated, that's a lot. This is in billions, not even millions. And year on year, there's a growth of almost 30%, right? So these are some of the very impressive stats that we see here. Shopify's infrastructure allows you to, it's so stable that it can take in so much transactions, over 5 million per minute, all right? And in 4 days, this is the amount that is being transacted, over 80 million. And just in last year alone, the platforms generated revenue in terms of transaction is more than 300 billion. All right. So the other point that I wanted to highlight on this is, aside from how robust it is how scalable it is. So Shopify comes in, as a SaaS platform, comes in different plans. So what this means is you can start your business small on Shopify. You can start with the smallest plan, and as you grow, you can slowly upgrade your plan, right? This is something that's very scalable. And when you upgrade, you get more features that will actually aid with your expansion. So there is no need for you to, for example, there will be a case whereby you outgrow your business. You have to tear down your existing infrastructure and you have to rebuild a new one just to expand. And this is something that is very painful, not just financially and also in terms of your resource internally, because someone has to manage this project. Okay. So the next one that I want to emphasize is also 2 points from this side. One is we are in this era whereby we don't, if I were to compare it to last time, whenever you buy something, last time probably, of course, there's no e-commerce. When you go to a shop and you buy something, you know people from the shop, right? And you buy there often, you will get to know them and build probably a rapport. From there, you have the brand trust, right? Of this seller that you're buying from. But nowadays, everything is online. We will resort to other ways to verify the legitimacy of this brand. For example, you will check the reviews, how many items is being sold, and probably even go to each and every of their channels here to verify their presence. So for example, if you have you are buying from a new seller and the seller only sells on Lazada and you can't find the presence anywhere else. So this might be something that might cause a friction in terms of transaction, right? In terms of the conversion itself. So having a Shopify store, like what Frankie mentioned, is complementary because this can be one way to bring up the brand awareness, right? So this is one part in terms of the first point that I'm going through. So the other part is in terms of infrastructure. So if you're selling across all these channels, and if you're you're not a very sizable business as of now, you don't have a very robust infrastructure, you can use Shopify as the center platform to manage everything, maybe in terms of your inventory, for instance, right? For bigger businesses, they probably will expand their infrastructure. Maybe they will adopt backend systems like ERPs, right? So this is one way you can start. So, okay, number 2. So there are 3 points to this. When you're looking to scale with Shopify, these are some of the more in-depth points that I'm going to share. So I will call this is the sacred formula for all businesses. Because of course, we are into the business game. We are looking at revenue. But the question is, how do you then improve your revenue? So you can improve your revenue in these 4 areas. So let me just very quickly elaborate. So the first one is traffic. Traffic can be funded through Google, can be funded through your social media accounts, for instance. All right. So how do you then drive traffic? So traffic can be done. I can throw some top-level examples here. So for example, you can do it through SEO, which is the Google search engine. You can do Google Ads. You can do ads through your social media accounts. You can manage your social media accounts, and from there, you funnel your followers over to your store to convert them. And also, currently, there is this very new popular topic, right, which is the visibility on AI platforms. We call it GEO, Generative Engine Optimization. So these are ways that you can funnel traffic to your website. All right. So, however, for traffic, you can see out of these 4 matrix here, the marketplaces only give you partial access to 2, right? So I will go through in depth in what does this mean. So I will move on to the second part, which is the conversion rate. So conversion rate basically is, in this case, your website or your conversion layer in your marketplace, which is basically your storefront itself. All right. Average order value, this is how much is your basket size, right? How much on average do you sell per customer whenever they do a transaction with you? Purchase frequency is tied to retention. So how much does existing customer comes back to buy from you? So these 4 contributes to revenue. And as much as possible, you would like to push all these 4 matrix up. All right. So back to the point where the marketplace only gives you partial access to 2. So what are the 2 is actually these 2 points here in orange, right? So as you already know, especially for our marketplace sellers, the conversion rate, you can customize it to a certain extent. So why is it partial? Is because you can only follow the template that you are given, right? You can customize from there. So it's limited to a certain extent. For average order value, you can do things like, for example, bundling, upselling, but then similarly to conversion rate, it is something that is limited by the template of what the marketplace supports. Okay. So step by step, these are the key focus areas. If you're looking to expand your business on Shopify, these are the key focus areas that you need to look at and probably strategize on before. For example, you need to look at conversion before you move on to retention, and after that, expansion, right? So this is a key point here that you can see. So imagine you don't have your conversion being, this is the foundational layer and it is not a solid foundational layer, and you move straight to expansion. So what will happen is you can spend a lot of money on marketing. For instance, this is the easiest example to visualize. You can spend a lot of money on marketing, but if your conversion rate is very bad, literally you are just spending money and for sure you're not getting any ROI out of it, proper ROI. So which is why you need to focus on each of these 3 pillars in sequence, right? After your conversion rate, your foundational layer is done up, you can focus on retention. So this is done concurrently with, of course, you have to run your traffic campaigns to push traffic to your website with conversion. And from there, you can think of how to retain your customers. And once your business has stabilized, you can look at expansion, maybe to be it other sales channels or done through other country markets. So, moving on. So I will just discuss a little bit more about conversion. So for Shopify, you can see that in terms of the product pages, like I mentioned earlier on, it's very flexible and it's really how you want to do it. Of course, like I mentioned, you can use a team approach, you can fully customize it. But what I'm trying to say here is instead of sticking to the very standard customer journey of marketplaces, this part here is up to you to, design, right? So the next point is also one of Shopify's very impressive foundational layer is the checkout. So like I mentioned, in terms of checkout, the accelerated checkout is one of the highest converting in the world, because having in this case, a Shopee account, your user data is already with Shopify, right? For example, your name, your contact details, your address, and from there, even your credit card can be vaulted. And with a click, you can already do your purchase, right? So smart merchandising, this is also something that's very flexible, is designed by you or your own team, because you don't have to follow the rules for example, the marketplaces, right? It's really up to you to determine what kind of promotional campaign you want to do, right? So number 2 is retention. So for retention, LTV here stands for lifetime value. So this is one part that the marketplace is lacking a lot, because like I mentioned, if you're not able to capture any data through marketplace during your sales, there's no way for you to retarget them. There's no way for you to proactively reach out to your existing customers and get them to come back to purchase from you, right? Not even saying that, because for marketplaces, it's very easy for your customers to go to your competitors' page to do a price comparison, and from there they may purchase from your competitors very easily, right? So in terms of lifetime value, you can see that, like what Frankie mentioned, it's always much easier to get one of your existing customers to purchase than acquiring a new one. A new one can be acquired through, for example, ads and any of your marketing initiatives, right? So there's a few ways you can do this. So the first way is, of course, this is using your customer data that you've acquired through all the previous sales or even newsletter subscription through our website. You get data and you try to do retargeting, remarketing. So the second one will be subscriptions. So subscriptions is something that can create very good stickiness with your customers, right? So when you have a subscription sale, it's usually an ongoing one, unless your customers take the initiative to stop it. And this is something that is not offered in marketplaces, even if you want to. So the third one will be a loyalty program. So this is something that the marketplace offers actually, but it's only their version of the loyalty program, right? Today, you will not be able to have your own store-based, store-focused loyalty program that is only unique to yourself. So this is something that creates stickiness as well. So first-party data, this is in terms of analytics. You will be able to analyze data sources that, for example, where your customers are coming from, because you can be running so many different types of marketing campaigns, right? And you would like to know the best performing ones, for instance. You can judge the results based on that. So the third one will be expansion. So for Shopify, it is a very future-proof platform. So this can be very easily unlocked. So I'll talk about the one on the right first. So Shopify Markets is a function and feature of Shopify where you can very easily, for example, right now I'm selling on Malaysia. I've stabilized my sales here, my business here, and I would like to expand to Singapore, for instance. I would like to expand to Thailand, for instance. This is something that you can do very easily using the Shopify platform. It's something that don't need very intensive customizations, right? So they also offer, because they work with so many partners, they have localized payment methods. You can even do regional catalogs and pricing, right? And what's the best thing is if you're looking to, penetrate to the market, to a new market, you can do it using one store if you want to. So this is something that will help ease up your market expansion plans. You don't have to manage multiple stores in one go. All right. So Shopify as a system, as a platform, already comes with all these features. Is for you to use, right? So you can do retail Shopify. There's Shopify POS, social commerce. Shopify can be integrated with all these channels, social media channels, and also marketplace, right? You can integrate Shopify with the marketplaces. And also, there is a B2B portal that is not available in most marketplaces. So there's a B2B portal where you can do B2B sales. So this is a very top-level planning for you to consider when you are looking to start your business with Shopify, right? So the first one is always to get your foundations right. So what are the things that you need to focus on, right? Of course, you need to launch your site, but you need to focus on especially your products. The product page is a very important converting page of your entire website, right? Your checkout for sure has to be working properly. And if you are already using marketplaces as some of the channels that you are already selling in, you can also connect them to help better manage your business overall. So after that, you need to take a look at how do you then improve your conversion, right? Page speed is in terms of infrastructure. This is where Shopify excels a lot, right? And this will benefit, for example, your SEO, right? Your Google rankings a lot. So the other parts is, for example, bundles, reviews, abandoned cart when people add to cart and don't check out. These are some of the items that help you drive conversion. So these are the items that you need to focus on after your foundations are built, right? So this is, I would say, also considered part of the foundations, but phase 2, right? And after that, you need to see how you can create stickiness with your customers. Things like your loyalty program. If you have any subscription for any products, you can implement them at this stage, right? And expand your business through the channels that are supported in Shopify. So yeah, this is one of the very last slides here. So this is a very quick comparison between marketplaces and a Shopify store. So in terms of the matrix that you're looking at, right? So as you can see, for traffic and purchase frequency, this is something that is out of your control for marketplace. Marketplace, they drive their own traffic, and from there it will enter the algorithm where they will actually help to use the searchability of your products, right? But for Shopify, this is depending on what your focus is. For example, you are focusing on SEO, you're focusing on your social media accounts, and you're focusing on retention, for instance, right? So for conversion rate, like I mentioned previously, is partial. But for Shopify, this is something that is fully customizable. It's really up to you how you want to sell your brand story, how you want to customize your customer journey. So average order value, this is something that's also partial in the marketplaces. But for Shopify store, you have free play, right? It really depends what kind of promotional campaigns you want to do. And lastly, for the purchase frequency, this is something that you can't do on marketplaces because, like we have always emphasized, because there's no way you are getting any customers. The customers that you sell to in marketplaces are not your customers. But for in Shopify, it's really up to you to record all the data that you need to run your, for example, your retention marketing, all your marketing campaigns to funnel them back to your website and actually drive more purchases. Okay. So very quick 3 points to actually summarize what I've gone through. So marketplace is a channel, one of your sales channel, but it's not your destination. So what does this mean? Because if you're looking to build a brand, you need to have something that is solely yours. It's not, let me just use and help you better visualize using one instance, right? For example, you go to a marketplace, you look from store to store, each and every store looks the same, right? So Shopify is a platform that can help you create your own individuality in terms of your brand, right? So for point number 2, Shopify is purpose-built. So this is a platform that is solely focused on e-commerce and is built to optimize the entire e-commerce conversion and also customer journey. So yeah. So number 3, you can see you can scale in sequence. So in terms of the Shopify infrastructure, you don't have to go in and do a very deep dive whereby you have to invest a lot and one shot you have to build a very robust infrastructure. You can start very small and you scale along the way. So this is a beauty of Shopify. It is flexible and it's also very scalable. So yeah, I'm done with my presentation. So Jamie, do we have a little bit more time for me to showcase some live scenarios with our viewers? Because it's 3:00.
Sure.
Okay. I'll just do a very quick sharing. So we have here one of our Malaysian brands. So if you were to search for Kin Malaysia, this is one of the brands that they are on the enterprise plan. They are on the Shopify Plus brand. So you can see this is the Shopify Plus store, all right? And they also own this brand in Singapore. It's Mayer Singapore. They are also on the enterprise Shopify Plus plan. So they are selling electronics, home appliances. So, and of course, they are also running very successfully on all the marketplaces. So Mayer in Shopee Singapore, they are doing well. Kin in Malaysia, they are also doing very well. So you can see the number of products they're selling, and they have a lot of followers in terms of ratings. Mayor as well. They have a lot of followers, the ratings is good, they have a lot of products. So what this means is even big brands like Keen and Mayer, right? Even though they're affiliated, they can run both channels and they can both complement each other, right? So one unique case that I would like to probably bring up to the audience is for Mayer Singapore, if you were to go to their Singapore Shopee Mall store, when you scroll down, of course, this is a standard Shopify, the standard Shopee template, right? So when you go down, there is a hook here whereby you can't funnel traffic to your website. So this is one strategy whereby if you have a Shopify store and you're running something that can provide warranty, something that requires warranty, this is one way you can actually funnel traffic to your website to get a database, right? So you can take a look at Mayor Singapore's website and you can see that there's a warranty registration. And for them, if you already seen this, you need to have an account to register your warranty. So once you have registered a warranty account, or rather have an account with Mayor, you will be able to activate your warranty. So this is a win-win situation whereby the merchant can activate their warranty, and you as the customer can activate the warranty, and the merchant themselves can get the database through this approach. Yeah. So yeah, with that, I think I'm done with my sharing.
Okay, thank you very much, Damien. And yeah, I believe that you already shared a lot, especially the last one, which is the Mayor and also the case study, which is a very good strategy for our customer. And it is like from your sharing, I can see like seller also need to go through a lot of conversion rate, how to increase their lifetime value, increase the average order value, so that they can repeat purchase, so that they can return the customer back to us. Okay, thank you very much. And I would like to share a little bit from BigSeller side. And from Damian, what he shared just now will be okay. The top of the funnel will be from the marketplaces, and also after that, if you want to increase customer or like we want to increase the customer, we have a close relationship with the customer. Then we have a brand.com, which is the Shopify, and yeah, from this webinar, we already know that Shopify, we are very glad to be together with Shopify because Shopify is really growing together with us, and also same to the big seller. We are growing together with the sellers, and big sellers is a back end operations that helps you to process your order and also keep your operation very clear. So even that you have like I believe that a lot of you that like you I believe that most of you are from the marketplaces, and when you want to grow your order, you want to have your brand, you want to have your own something that you can own yourself, you will have a Shopify so that the process you can own the brand yourself, you also own the process yourself, you can take control of the entire process. So we are very glad that BigSeller can already collaborate with the Shopify so that you can process your order using BigSeller, even though after marketplaces, and you can also process order in BigSeller, and the entire workflow will be synchronized. Meaning to say that whatever you already sell in the marketplaces, it will auto synchronize with whatever you have sold in Shopify. So the inventory will be always synchronized. And you can also check your order details. You can know where orders come from, whether it's from Shopify, whether it's from marketplaces. And we will also make sure the process fulfillment is clear, and also the process is clear, and also you can go through each and every of your processes, and also your finance, and also your account. So yeah, so I think that's all for the topic today, and we would like to invite back Damien and also Frankie back to the stage. And if let's say if you have any Q&A for us, then you can drop in the chat box, or you want to private message to me also can. So before you leave, I would like to share. Before you leave, you can share your feedback in the webinar group. And I will also share the affiliate link. I will also share the link to register with Shopify in the group. So I think that's all for today. I would like to thank Frankie again, and I would like to thank Damian again. Thank you very much, and we are very happy to have you in this webinar. Thank you. Bye bye.